unbelievably inspired by this young woman. Last month when I was part of a Colorado Women in Entrepreneurship event, and I've never been so moved by somebody who really just like sparked a whole inspiration to me through the way that she sees the world. So I'm so excited to welcome up to the stage Dani. Gonna do a quick little.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm very honored to be here to speak about innovation. And okay, so hello everyone. Thank you so much for having me as your speaker on innovation. I first want to say thank you to Brandy. As she mentioned briefly, I met her through the Women in Entrepreneurship Day organization here as we celebrate our annual summit every year in Colorado. And Brandy has been an amazing support throughout the 3 years that have worked. I've had the opportunity to run the event with the center that I run it by. I'm sorry, I'm so nervous. But with this being my second speech ever, it really means a lot to be with you here today. And if my voice shakes or cracks, please just bear with me and allow me to push through it, because I am very excited to share what I have to say. So thank you to Brandy and the continuous support for supporting women like me and helping us get into spaces like this, which does not go unseen. So from the bottom of my heart, I know she's kind of busy, but thank you, Brandy. And I want to start by beginning by the theme of this month of innovation. And I want to begin by saying that when we often hear stories about it, they're often extreme, high risk, big ideas, and sudden breakthroughs that are filled with moments that often feel like they just fall out of the sky. And because the stories, while rather inspiring, they often seem really far away from reality and very unattainable at times, because that's not how innovation has shown up in my life. And for me, innovation didn't arrive in a moment of clarity, but instead it has arrived softly, quietly, and only after, coincidentally, I was just not surviving in my everyday anymore. I want to be careful with my language here, because I do understand that I was never going into any kind of actual crisis. But I do want to speak on to whoever has had a similar overwhelming urge to create and the feeling of having too many ideas, but at the same time, too many things to do, too many responsibilities, and not enough time or space to reach your potential in any of them. And that's the space that I want to speak to you from today. But with this, I want to talk about a question that pops up during this time, before innovation even strikes us. A question that we often all carry, and whether we all brought some of our own here today, I know I certainly did, it can often stop us from innovating before we can even call it innovation. And that is the big what if. And while you may already be asking yourself a couple as you've gotten up into this point, and maybe even today, because I know I certainly have, and even speaking up here with you today, it can be your greatest barrier. But before I get into mine, I would also like to introduce myself very, very quickly. My name is Daniela Ibarra. I am a current CU Denver business student, currently studying management at the University of Colorado, Denver. I'm in my third year, and with that, I've also been working for the Jake Jab Center for Entrepreneurship along those 3 years as their marketing assistant. And as well, over the past year, I've taken on founding something for myself and becoming a founder of Salva Innovations, LLC. But with the main question and theme, I do want to emphasize that Salva didn't become what it is today from some big, bold idea or a message that came to me in a dream. But it did come from an everyday inconvenience. One day, after running at the gym, I needed to spit. And without having anywhere hygienic, discreet, or portable to do so, I ended up using an empty water bottle. That moment stayed with me. But not because it was an inconvenience that I have felt before, but because I would usually just brush it off as that, an inconvenience. But this time, something stuck with me, and I surprised myself. I began asking questions. What if others deal with this, but on a much bigger scale? And what if someone with a medical reason had to manage this way more frequently, on a bigger capacity, everywhere and anywhere? Was this stopping from people from leaving their homes? And what are other current solutions for this problem? All of a sudden, I was being filled with more questions than I can answer. And as a first generation and eldest daughter, that's scary. But when I didn't have the answers, I began searching for them. And finding out that over 15 million Americans currently face daily saliva management challenges was surprising. Not only in neurological and in developmental conditions, but it can range from the cold and the common cold to the flu, to people recovering from chemo and certain medical conditions. And then I had to find out that because of social stigma, individuals are then putting themselves at further risk for things like choking and aspiration pneumonia because they're trying to hide their symptoms. Now, I am proud to say that what had been an inconvenience had now become a reason for what is now been developing into Salva water bottle, the first dual functioning hydration and saliva management bottle, and we're hoping to launch in early 2026. But I think that as I talk to you here today, I do think that this matters most. That looking back, the idea didn't fall out of the sky, and that the inconvenience had happened before. So what was the difference? I wasn't suddenly more qualified, I hadn't become more fearless overnight, but I realized that all of a sudden, in a blink of an eye, I had gone from surviving to thriving. And I had finally built enough space within my environment to be curious. And here's what I found. When innovation is about to strike, we tend to ask ourselves two kinds of these what-if questions. One is fueled by doubt. What if I fail, and what if I'm not good enough? What if I say the wrong thing at the wrong time? And this can paralyze us. But then there's another kind, a kind that we can choose curiosity over that doubt. And we can ask ourselves, what if we try? And what if we try something and learn something new? Or what if after doing it, I find out that I never want to do it again? But it is in entertaining our curiosity where I have found that innovation lives. So I bring the conversation to you all, and I hope to speak with you all after about it. But I found that innovation didn't come from the pressure to create something, but it did come once I gave myself enough relief and safety and then created. Before understanding why curiosity wasn't available to me, I was wanting to handle school, family, grief, responsibility, and still expecting myself to create and to make it, to go to college, and to fulfill what I had known as my American dream. But with loss, uncertainty, and the expectation piled up on top of one another, I slowly began to see my pillars slowly began to crack. And when COVID hit, it ended up taking a bit more than my sense of taste for a while. It took my sense of life for a while. So as I found myself graduating high school on my way to my American dream of higher education, I was already drowning in what I took my what ifs as. What if I fail? What if I can't afford it? But funny enough, because I was at my lowest, I did the thing that I never thought I would ever do. As an eldest sibling, as an immigrant child, I asked for help. One October morning, I walked into the Denver Scholarship Foundation Center at my high school, Denver South High School. And in the mix of a panic attack, I opened up a Google Doc, unable to speak, and an advisor sat with me. I told her, I need help. I don't know what to do next. And for me, something so minuscule was the biggest risk I had ever taken, to let someone know where I was truly at, and to let someone know that I didn't have all the answers. But there, I wasn't met with answers, but I was met with space for what was possible. And I was reminded that despite drowning in my own what ifs and spirals, I was only asking one kind of them. So to be honest, college didn't begin as an opportunity, but as a stability, a structure, and support that I needed. And for the first time in a long time, I recognized that I found myself in an environment that worked for me instead of me working for it. This is where I realized that innovation requires space. And since then, I've gotten better at challenging my own what ifs and allowing myself to speak up on financial aid for students on Denver 7 and share my story to fellow scholars without the feeling of what they think and what if I'm underqualified to be on the stage right now speaking to you all. But I realized, with also pitching and competing for funding for Salva. But as I started to keep getting the hang of things, I realized that starting is what gets us. And with new opportunity, old what ifs tend to rephrase the old ones. And in the face of our biggest opportunities is where the biggest what ifs tend to pop up. When your environment finally stabilizes. And when you're no longer just reacting to your surroundings. When the identity questions begin to show up. What if I don't belong here? What if I'm underqualified? With no chaos left to blame, and with just you and possibility, we must remember that we have been here before. And that this feeling, despite feeling unfamiliar and gut-wrenching at times, is just what happens when the world has finally become your oyster, but you have been way too burned out from getting out of the shell. Here are a few ways I've gained to look and to recognize tools around me, and to recognize the pattern, to catch myself before choosing different questions. And how I found myself turning these what ifs of doubt into what ifs of curiosity. So my first one is being able to break your own barriers. Get comfy asking for help. Over time, college became my sandbox. It's a softer landing for me than being out there in the big, scary world. But it also has allowed me to build something so authentically that it doesn't feel like I'm building anything. It is a place where I'm allowed to show up authentically and meet people authentically around me and give them the opportunity to help me from where I'm at instead of pushing myself to show up with a helped or a good or a worthy of help version of myself before I ask for it. I found that innovation didn't come from knowing or connecting with more people necessarily, but it comes from learning how to work with the people already there and willing to show up authentically as well. And you might be wondering, with everyone I meet, I have to show up my authentic self and tell them everything I'm thinking about and everything I'm going through. And here is where we focus back our energy and we begin to be intentional. Being intentional for me was something hard to learn. I had to refrain from it not being about control and not planning my 24-hour days in advance, but it was about energy. We can only hold so much. We can only meet so many people at once. But awareness gives us choice. By knowing what is currently filling our bottle, whether it be our responsibilities or our duties or our own what ifs, in recognizing it, we allow ourselves to rearrange space for something new, or at least give ourselves grace and understanding where we might not be performing to the extent that we might want to. And because of uncontrollable things getting in the way, sometimes it's easier to say that it's those uncontrollable things getting in the way. But it is up to us to get them out of the freaking way, because that is what is stopping you from building what is truly yours and what you already know it belongs to you. So when developing Salva, it was truly a matter of quality over quantity, and reaching the nearest resources to me, breaking down my own perspectives and taking accountability for my time and my energy, and allowing myself to be the bridge between them. But it does take one last thing that I'm still learning, even being up here today as I speak to you and I stare down at my phone, is that understanding where your limits are and where your internalized limitations might be limiting you might be the next step to your next what if you make it happen, and what if it becomes a successful business, and what if they do enjoy your company and want to see you again, and what if they do want to become your friend, or what if you do get that job, and we just start entertaining that curiosity instead of putting us back into the box that we're all too familiar with. And I know that it sounds complicated, and I know that I ramble, but it is in finding enough trust within yourself to build something truly authentic. And it doesn't feel like you're building it, but rather that it's growing with you. When trying something new, fear and growth will always feel the same to the body. So it takes trusting a lot in yourself, and realizing that a lot of that intuition might be also a tool for connection, curiosity, and interest, rather than just a tool to keep you safe and comfortable. So when we fuel the what ifs of doubt. We often land in worry and regret. But when we allow ourselves to entertain curiosity and question our own perspectives, we may find confidence, growth, and innovation. So, for my final thought, maybe innovation isn't about having more ideas, but about being better or doing more at every second. But maybe it's about having the capacity to act on the ideas that you already have and having enough grace within yourself to carry them through. So, the big what if. It doesn't have to be that big anymore. If we can give our questions answers, or at least a little bit time to play in the sand, and if we can give ourselves a bit more space, a little more trust, and a little more grace, what if innovation finally had room to happen? Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, let's open it up for some Q&A. Who's got a question? Yes, Charles.
Buenos dias, Daniela. You did a great job.
Yep.
My question is there someone in your life that inspired you to become a risk taker and entrepreneur?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and I actually have a list of people in my notes app that have just done remarkable things throughout this experience to just, I don't know why they help me, but they do. And I think that everyone should have that list, but I think that most importantly has always been my mom. She has always made every crazy idea possible. If I wanted to do art with lacrosse, with basketball, all in the same winter season, it was being done. It was not a question. So in just supporting and all my hobbies and all the ideas and never making me feel like it was too much was a huge help. But I do think that with growth, it comes from admiring maybe traits that you maybe don't feel inspired by, but you have from somebody, and learning how to rephrase those into traits that work for you now. One of those is kind of always being super detail orientated, and my family always being super detail orientated. And growing up, it has always been super girl, you're doing too much. But it's an understanding that I was in the wrong rooms, and the rooms that I was accepted in and understood, it's in those that I'm allowed to shine. So I think that I'm inspired by individuals that just allow other individuals to have that.
That's good. Danny, one thing that I think is so incredibly awesome, in fact, I just want to give you a hug. You jumped out of your comfort zone, and you even admitted, I'm looking at my phone, I'm nervous. But that's where the growth happens. It's when you just step out in front of a whole bunch of strangers to share what you're doing. And I think that life, oftentimes we have that fear of stepping out. We have the fear that, what are they going to think of me? Blah blah blah. So I'm just in awe of your bravery, your innovation. I love the way that you used school as your sandbox. That's such an important thing for me. Where are we playing right now? What are our worlds? Because those worlds that we're in, that's where our community is. And if we feel safe in a community where we can actually be vulnerable, be broken down, that's where we're surrounded, and that makes us really grow. So you were just such an inspiration to me. So thank you again. Yes, Bahar.
Hi. You spoke about kind of letting go of control and letting energy drive your intentionality. And I kind of struggle with that balance because I'm a person that needs to plan because I'm all over the place. But I struggle between that, trying to let my energy guide me and not be too controlling, but also being intentional with my time. So how do you find that helps you strike that balance?
It's a struggle, and it's I'm 22. I'm learning as I go. Thank you. And the clap. But yeah. But I do think that it is, and it feels like this balancing act, consistent balancing act. But I do think that one of the main things that I've learned throughout all of this, and just the awareness of knowing even and recognizing where your bottle, how full your bottle is and where that energy is going, it just allows us to kind of value ourselves and to recognize ourselves, how much of our time we're living for others, how much are we living for ourselves, and it kind of allows the data to speak for itself outside of our own perceptions and our own, but I'm doing this for this and I'm doing this for that and none of this and this, it all makes sense to me, and I'm a mess, but who told you you're a mess? You're a perfectly perfect system that your intuition and your experiences have made up within you, and it's just a lot about relearning it as you are entering into new experiences. So it is going to feel overwhelming, but hopefully with over time it begins to just feel like something that is going to pass as well, and I trust my own 2 feet to carry me with it, kind of thing.
Love it. You have such wisdom. Olivia, you've got a question.
Olivia.
Daniela, we are so proud of you at
Thank
DSF.
you.
This has been incredible to see you grow over the last 4 years.
Thank you.
What is next for you? I know Salva is a big, big part of your life and will continue to be as you graduate in May. But what else do you see for your future?
Yeah, I really enjoy speaking. I like sharing my ideas to rooms like this with with like-minded people that are willing to hear people out, which I feel like people don't do enough of these days, and they want to come with their own set of what I think they confuse as values. But I think that when we're all cohesively expressing just that vulnerability, it's a message that I want to continue to spread. And whether that is as a marketing assistant at the Jake Jab Center for Entrepreneurship, I love assisting students with their own business ideas, and I love just opening their horizons and questioning the accounting kids to open up their own firm instead of going into the Big Four, and doing things like that, and just continuing to see where the conversation leads, because with Salva, I am very passionate about the issue with me having it and finding out that other individuals have it for a way larger medical reason. But I think that for me, at the end of it, I just want it to be a very continuous, authentic expression of myself, which is being a student, higher education, and entrepreneurship, being a woman founder. And I know that that's not a clear answer or a clear list of titles that I'm reaching for, but I want it to be just as open as I can be, because the voice might shake and the voice might crack, but I'll still push through it.
So inspiring. Danny, one of the things that I'm also super inspired by is that you had a reason that you needed this product. And I think that, like, we're all kind of broken and cracked in our own ways. And just the fact that you were like, you know what, I want to do something about this. I want to make this experience more comfortable. What was that one little thing that you were just like, I'm going for it? And then we have a question over here.
Yeah. It happens a lot where I catch myself being like, is this a bad idea? You know, like, is this not going to work out? Am I putting my time into something that not a lot of people will need? But I do think that it comes in the forms of messages through people, and as people know what you're doing, that even in class, people are like coughing up mucus or coughing, or like my brother's sick and they're like, hurry up with your damn cup. Like, I need the bottle now. Like, I feel nasty, or I'm sick, or I have or it's stories of, oh my goodness, I have a friend through chemo that she uses a reusable paper bag, or it's my husband goes through this and he went through several surgeries throughout his life, and now is in rehabilitation. And I think that is in those stories that the social stigma, the gross factor of it all, just goes all out the window, just to bring a little bit of safety and a little bit of empathy and assistance to people in need is really what does it for me at the end of the day, more than just an inconvenience for me. But it is stopping a lot of individuals from going to school, attending class, going to the movies, having to carry around a bag or having to carry around reusable cups. And because of unsustainable solutions currently, there just isn't any. So I'm happy to be developing this and to make it so discreet and hygienic and usable for individuals with this issue. But.
Hi, Daniela. I think I can speak for many people in the room that I am very impressed by you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I am inspired that there is this generation of people like you,
Thank you.
coming out into the world of business. I really appreciate that you mentioned how you were able to ask for help. Mm-hmm. And as someone who struggles with that, I love seeing that role model. What is something that you currently need support with or help with as you're moving forward in your business?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think it's crazy because I answered it kind of this morning because it's just been weighing me down. And it was that I'm not the best student right now. The grades are like struggling. But I do think that it's because I am still holding myself to the standard of living at home and having meals every day and not working and just being school, lacrosse, homework, and there was a result to that because I always loved learning. But now that I love learning, and I still love learning and I want to learn and I'm learning continuously in my business, to kind of see my grades not reflect that at times, it's kind of like what's going on? Like, how am I starting a business and pitched for funding and got a bit of it and, moved on to the next step of it and having these really great conversations with business professionals. But on the other end, I'm getting a 8 out of 10 in, not like an 8 out of 10, like that's like, I don't even know. That's really good, huh? Like the grades, the grade
Most
spectrum
employers
is
are not
not
going to
even like a
ask what
thing
your
in my
GPA
brain
was in
anymore.
college. The fact that you finish is amazing.
No, yeah, and kind of reframing it like that I am a first-generation student and I don't have a perfect blueprint, and that I decided that college was going to look a bit more different than just receiving my degree at the end of it, and that in the mix of it, I was going to start professionally speaking and starting a business and just doing the crazy things that come to my mind. But I've been fortunate enough that it's still been a constant and I love learning, but it has been difficult to just see that not like reflected in what I hold myself to at times. But with the help of my advisors and with the help of what college is, it's really easy to just meet those people where you're at and let them know where you're going through. So a lot of my professors and a lot of my advisors have been just amazing and willing to explain things over and over and over to me the textbook way. And then they're like, okay, but now let's get back to the bottle. How are you doing it? Okay, go mess around, come back, let's talk. And just having this different kinds of conversation has been really helpful with that. Thank you.
I think that's about time, Brandy.
Yes. Danny, can you hang out for a little bit? If anyone wants to hang out with you, we've got your QR codes. Thank you again for just ending our year with such inspiration. Everyone, let's give Danny another round of applause. So awesome, so inspiring. We have some more croissants and muffins, and hard-boiled eggs. Not really. No one really likes those.
Oh, plenty of those ones.
Well, there's some hard-boiled eggs back there. So, salt and pepper. Okay, maybe I'll have a hard-boiled egg.
I like a little Dijon
buffet.
mustard.
But please feel free to hang out if you would like. Thank you guys so much. We're going to see you January 30th with Fael at Beacon for Corso, Glimmer of Hope. And everybody have a happy holiday. Be safe. Continue to just be the light in the darkness. And innovate. Innovate the things that you want to see in the world.
Let's all innovate our way to
We love you
2026.
guys. And through 2026.
And through. And beyond.
And on and on and on and on and on. Thank you guys.